أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم النبيين والمرسلين محمد بن عبد الله، صلى اللهم عليه وعلى آله وصحابته أجمعين ومن استنى سنتهم واهتدى بهديهم وتبعهم بخير وإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, we started the lecture, the topic of Dawah, and we described the purpose for Dawah. The purpose for Dawah, and we described two parts of the purpose of Dawah. First is to be slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to do ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worshipping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second is to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. To follow Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam ordered us to do, what he did and we should do like him, what he saw other people doing and he approved that this is a good thing and this should be followed. And this part of this is to know the story of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the seerah, like the previous lecture we have taken on Thursday. So it's important to understand who is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in order to know whom are we following. The third purpose, the third part of the purpose of da'wah is to remind with al-akhirah. To remind with al-akhirah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was asked, who are the most wise? Who are the wise ones? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the wise ones are the ones who mention akhirah, or the ones who mention death the most, and the ones who prepare themselves to what is coming after death the most. So when you see someone is doing da'wah to people and is mentioning a lot about akhirah, about Jannah, about Jahannam, about hisab, about Yawm al-Qiyamah, about death, about the grave, this is the right way. If you see someone is making da'wah and is talking a lot about dunya and life coaching, how to be a businessman, a Muslim businessman, for example. All of these are okay things. Some of these are useful things. But if you are doing da'wah and most of your teaching to people is how to live a nice life in dunya and how to be skilled in dunya, and this is not the right way of da'wah. Because da'wah is mainly to remind people with akhirah, not with dunya. Because dunya is just a place for testing. To live in dunya in a nice way, in a good way, should not be a purpose, but it is just a method. It is a way. Your purpose is not dunya. Your purpose is akhirah, is Jannah. But you want to get a good job in dunya, you want to have good income in dunya from halal, of course. You want to live a good life in dunya. You want to, if you are a woman, you want to have a good husband. If you are a man, you want to have a good wife. All of these things are methods and tools so that you can fix, you are able to live a good life, not a miserable life, so that you can work for akhirah. For example, I give a course about marriage. I give a course about how to write a CV and these things, but this is not most of my lectures. Otherwise, I'm not doing da'wah. So the focus of you who are the one that who is making da'wah should be for akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam, إنني أنا الله لا إله إلا أنا فاعبدني وأقم الصلاة لذكري إن الساعة آتية أكاد أخفيها لتجزى كل نفس بما تسعى. The first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to Musa alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him, إنني أنا الله, I am Allah. لا إله إلا أنا, there is no God but me. فاعبدني, so worship me. وأقم الصلاة لذكري, and pray for me. إن الساعة آتية, يوم القيامة is coming. أكاد أخفيها لتجزى كل نفس بما تسعى, the actual date is unknown, so that every single person will be rewarded or punished based on what he or she deserves. And every prophet, when he was inviting people to Islam, was reminding with akhirah. The same with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إنك ميت وإنهم ميتون. You are dead, you will die, and all of them will die. All of other people will die. And to talk about akhirah, you have to focus on 6 things, 6 facts. So pay attention to these. Number 1, every human being one day will leave this life. This is a fact that everyone should know and everyone should be convinced with. Number 2, when everyone goes out of this life, you are not going to take anything with you. When you go out of this life, you are not going to take anything with you. Nothing. Your wealth, your laptop, your phone, your clothing, your glasses, all of these you will leave and you go without them. Have you seen anyone going to the grave with his iPhone? No, it will be taken from you. Everything, your necklace, your earrings, everything, they will take everything out. Number 3, you are going to take all of your deeds with you. So all of the material things, everything you will leave, but all of your deeds you will take with you. Your good deeds and your bad deeds. This is the 3rd fact. Number 4, once you die, you will never be able to come back to dunya. No one goes there and comes back here. Even if you wish, even if you are a good person, this will not be fulfilled for you. For the number 5, the fact number 5, based on your deeds in this dunya will be your destiny from the first moment you go out of this life. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, القبر أول منزل من منازل الآخرة. The grave is the first step in akhirah. If it was good, what is coming after it, it will be good. If it is bad, what is coming after it will be bad. So your life in Akhirah is based on your deeds in dunya. Fact number 6. There is no death after death. So after you die, you are not going to die again. So this is the first and last time you die. So you have one chance in dunya and one death. After you die, you have the soul life in the grave, and then in Akhirah, you will get your body back and your soul will enter your body. But death, there is no other death. This is the first and last death for you. So these are the 6 facts that you need to have in your heart, and you need to convey to people when you make da'wah. I will mention them again. Number 1, everyone must die. Every human must die. Number 2, when you go out of this dunya, you are not going to take anything with you. All of your ownings, all of your stuff, you will leave back. Number 3, when you go out of dunya, you will take all of your deeds with you, good deeds and bad deeds. Number 4, you will never be able to come back to dunya once you go out. Number 5, your life after death, from the very beginning to the very end, all depends on your deeds. Number 6, there is no death after death. You die only once. So this is the third purpose, or the third part of the purpose of da'wah, to remind with akhirah. One very important thing here, when you speak to people about something, if you don't feel it yourself, it will not be effective. So when I'm telling you this now, if I don't feel it myself, it will not reach you. The feeling will not reach you. It will reach you like a concrete thing, like without life, without a soul in it. Because I'm just, repeating what I memorize. So before you tell people something, you have to feel it yourself. I'll give you one example. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, is one of the very well-known scholars. In his time, there were still slaves in the Muslim state. But of course, in Islam, slaves are not like slaves with the Roman Empire or the other societies. The kuffar, they were considering their slaves as a property. They can do whatever they want with them. They feed them or they don't feed them. They torture them or they treat them well. They keep them as one piece, or they cut their arms, or they let them fight the lions and animals just to have fun. All is up to them, because it is completely a property. In Islam, is not like this. Your slaves are your brothers. You have to feed them as you eat, from the same food that you eat. You give them clothing, the same clothing that you have. So you have to treat them like your own children. But anyways, there were still slaves at the time of Imam Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. So some of them, they came to him and they said, we hope to be freed, because even if they live a good life, no one likes to be a slave. He said, we like to be freed. We are bored of being slaves. Why don't you give a lecture or khutbah al-Jumu'ah about the reward for freeing slaves, so that you encourage people to free their slaves and we get free, we become free. He said, yes, I will do that. Then in the next Jum'ah, a lot of slaves came to attend Salatul Jum'ah to listen what he's going to say. But the topic of khutbah was something completely different, not this topic. He said, okay, maybe the next Jum'ah he will do that. He will speak about this. They came also in the next Jum'ah. He spoke about something else. They said maybe the next Jum'ah. They came in the third Jum'ah and he spoke about something else. So they said maybe he just forgot. But after some time, after a few weeks, he gave a khutbah about freeing slaves, and it was very effective. And people really affected with this khutbah. It was very nice words. And after this khutbah, a lot of slaves were freed. People freed their slaves. So this group who asked him to give the khutbah, they came to him and they said, why have you been so late? He said, when I decided to give the khutbah, I decided to apply to myself first. I did not have any slaves, so I decided to save money and buy a slave and to free this slave, and then to give the khutbah. So he took all of this time to save money and to buy one slave and to set him free, and then to speak about this topic. So this is a good example on how you should first apply things to yourself before you speak about it to people. So when you speak about akhirah, akhirah needs to be really inside your heart. Dunya has to be small and akhirah has to be big. When you live your life, when you eat your food, when you spend your time, akhirah has to be your first priority. Otherwise, when you speak to akhirah, when you speak to people about akhirah, your words will be empty and you will not find good words to say, because da'wah is something you are speaking about Allah. So it has to be Allah who give you the words. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is satisfied with you, you will see that the words are coming to your tongue. Nice words, effective words, and you don't know where is this coming from. It's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is opening doors for you to speak very nice and people are listening. And it is effective because you speak from your heart. Otherwise, it will not be effective. So this is important, especially regarding the purpose of akhirah, to make your focus on akhirah, not dunya. And to ask people to make their focus of their own life on akhirah, not dunya. So this is the third part of the purpose. The fourth part is the responsibility of da'wah. The responsibility of da'wah. To speak about the responsibility. To tell people that their responsibility is not only to follow Islam, but to take the responsibility of Islam, to carry this responsibility of Islam. Islam is the responsibility of all of us. It's not like people who are making da'wah and people who are listeners. But there are two types of people. So those listeners, they are the ones who just listen. They are the ones who wait for people to talk to them. They are the ones who sit always in the audience when someone speaks about Islam. But they never sit in the panel. They are always in the audience. But they want to take initiative in other things. So you can find this person is having a TikTok page or a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, and when writing posts, a lot of interactions and a lot of responses from people, maybe hundreds. But when it comes to talking about deen, about Islam, this person is always in the audience, if he or she even cares to be in the audience. But when talking about football, he's in the panel. When she talks about food, preparing food or makeup, she's in the panel. She likes to be in the panel, and she likes to get the largest number of likes and views on YouTube channel. But about deen, always in the audience. And sometimes not even interested. To make da'wah about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to invite people to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the responsibility for all Muslims. For all Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. Tell the people, this is my way. I invite people to the path of Allah based on knowledge and iman, basira, أنا, myself, وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي, and the people who are following me, which means that it is the job of Rasulullah and all other Muslims. So every Muslim has the responsibility of da'wah. Not only the ulama, every single Muslim. Every single Muslim has this responsibility. One very wrong understanding is to think that it is only the scholars or imams who has the responsibility of da'wah. This is very wrong. Every single Muslim has the responsibility to make da'wah. It is not something that you can choose to do or not to do. If you don't do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you, why didn't you do? Never think that Allah will not ask you that you was living in Norway, why didn't you invite people to Islam? You will be asked about that. You have been living in a non-Muslim country, you had a lot of colleagues, a lot of friends. Have you ever spoke to them about Islam? And if not, why not? Yes, you will be asked about that. You will be asked about those Muslims that you knew and you knew that they are not praying. Why didn't you talk to them about Salah? For the sisters, you will be asked about the other sisters who, if you are wearing hijab, about the sisters who don't wear hijab. When you go out together and you have them as your friends and you can go out and eat or do something or study with them, and she's not wearing hijab and you never talk to her about hijab, Allah will ask you, why didn't you talk? So it is a responsibility, and you will be asked about this responsibility. Allah will not ask you, why didn't she wear hijab? Because you cannot force. But Allah will ask you, why didn't you talk to her about wearing hijab? Because this is something you can. You cannot force people, but you can talk to people. You can do that. But the problem is that you are shy. You say that it's not my business. It is your business because you are a Muslim. So the responsibility of da'wah is very important. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لَتَأْمُرُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَلَتَنْهَوُنَّ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ أو ليوشكن الله أن يبعث عليكم عذابا منه ثم تدعونه فلا يستجاب لكم. You will have to advise people to do the good deeds and to advise them not to do the bad deeds, the haram. Al-ma'ruf is all of the good deeds. Al-munkar, all of the bad deeds. Or else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send azab to you. And then you will make dua and your dua will not be accepted. Because of this. Another ayah, one ayah in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, لعن الذين كفروا من بني إسرائيل على لسان داود وعيسى بن مريم ذلك بما عصوا وكانوا يعتدون. The people of Bani Israel, the kuffar of Bani Israel, they were cursed. They were cursed by Dawood alayhi salam and Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam. ذلك بما عصوا وكانوا يعتدون. This is because they have disobeyed and they have done a lot of sins. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كانوا لا يتناهون عن منكر فعلوه لبئس ما كانوا يفعلون. They have not been advising each other to stop doing the haram. This was one of the worst things they did. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he described this ayah to the Sahaba, he said, the first shortage that started with Bani Israel, shortage of Iman, that they were two groups. One group was the scholars and the religious people, the ones who come to the masjid, the ones who pray, the ones who know about Islam, the ones who can recite at-Tawrah, which was for them like the Quran for us. And the other group are the sinners, the ones who do the sins, the ones who may do zina, the ones who may take riba, the ones who may drink, but they are still Muslims. So when someone from the first group, the religious group, sees someone from the sinner group doing something haram, he advises him once and tell, this is brother, this is haram, don't do it. Fear Allah. And that's it. And then the next day, they are friends, they go out, they eat together, they sit together, and they walk together as if there is nothing, normal life. Then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created conflicts between their hearts. So those friends became enemies. And they started having enmity against each other, which resulted in conflicts, fighting, and a lot of collisions between them. And because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cursed them. They were cursed by Dawood alayhi salam and Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam. So you see, what happened is that the religious people, it was not that they did not advise at all, but they advised only once. So like, for example, when you have your friend, if you are a Muslim sister, for example, you see your friend, she is not wearing hijab, and then you advise her once. why don't you wear hijab? And she say, yes, inshallah, I will do. And she's still not wearing hijab. And she's your best friend still. You go to the university together, you eat together, you go out together, you are visiting each other, you are talking on the phone. Friends. And you never talk to her about hijab again. You say, I already talked once. I already told her. It's up to her. It's not my business anymore. I did my job. And that's it. Why don't you talk to her again? No, because it will look a bit annoying. She might feel like I'm trying to enforce this on her, and she will not like it. I already told. If she wants to do, she do. If she doesn't, it's her own business. Isn't this the argument? It was the same as the people of Bani Israel. It was the same as the people of Bani Israel. So what you should do as a Muslim, you should say again. You should tell again and again and again. Not every single day, but you shouldn't act like it is normal. When you see something haram at the front of you, you have to do something, you have to say something. You have to have a plan, a long-term plan, when this plan should end. It should end only when this haram stops. So if your friend is keeping and doing the haram, you have to keep on advising. She might not like it. Yes, she might not like it. But she has to understand that there is something wrong. So there has to be a bell, an alarm here. Because once you normalize relations with the people who are doing the haram and making everything normal, they will think that it's okay. Yes, she's wearing hijab. She's a hijabi girl. I am not a hijabi girl, but we are both Muslims. We are both religious Muslims or good Muslims. No, it's not like this. Anyone who is doing the haram and keeping on doing the haram is not a good Muslim. It's not about how you behave. It's about how you obey Allah or not obey Allah. This is facts. And people may not like it, but this is the fact. So the responsibility of da'wah is to tell people the facts. It is their right on you so that you tell them this. You know, if you don't do this, when they find a lot of sins, يوم القيامة, they will tell you it was because of you. Because you knew and you did not. Why didn't you warn me? I told you once. Why didn't you keep telling me? Why didn't you like shake me and say, wake up? It's dangerous. So, and they will be right because it's your responsibility. So the responsibility of da'wah is very important. And this is something that you have to keep on doing and not to give up. So this is the fourth part of the purpose of da'wah. The responsibility of da'wah is for every single Muslim. Of course, the way you should tell people to do the good deeds and not to do the bad deeds, you have to tell them this in a nice way. But you have to keep on telling. You have to keep on telling. Because it is their right that you have to keep on advising them. You don't tell them in a tough way because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'izati al-hasana." You have to make da'wah to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala using wisdom and using good speech. You don't tell people in a bad way, but the facts has to be told. The rules needs to be told. It's not something to be hidden. Otherwise, you are cheating. So you treat people well, you talk to people well, but you have to tell them what they have to do and what they have to stop doing. So these are the 4 parts of the purpose of da'wah. First, to make ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second, to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Third, to remind people with akhirah. Fourth, to make people, yourself and people, feel the responsibility. And for all of the 4 parts of the purpose, you have to apply things to yourself before telling people, before talking to people. Otherwise, the message will not come from your heart to other people's heart. So you have to apply things to yourself. And I mentioned the example of Al-Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. Then some important aspect for da'wah. What is the amount of knowledge, or what is the qualification for someone to be able to do da'wah? What is the qualification in terms of knowledge in order to do da'wah? As I said, every Muslim has the obligation to do da'wah. What do you need to know? What do you need to know to make da'wah? You have to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your creator, and He is the only one that deserves to be worshipped. You have to know that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is to be obeyed. You have to know that akhirah is the truth, and maut, death, is the truth, and Jannah and Jahannam is a truth, akhirah. When you make da'wah only with what you know. Don't make fatwa. And this is very important. When you are a religious person and you talk about the deen and you go talk to people and about Islam, if people like what you say, you will always get some questions. And they will ask you about things, different things, about prayer, about zakah, about umrah, about hajj, about these things. And they may ask you about things that you don't know. So never answer a question when you don't know the answer. Don't feel yourself, yes, they respect me, so I have to give them an answer. Otherwise, they will think that I'm stupid. They will think that I'm ignorant, and they will not like to listen to me anymore. This is very dangerous. This is very dangerous. It's very important to know when to say, I don't know. Because because this is called fatwa. Even when someone asks you about something in Islam, it is fatwa. If you don't really know what you are talking about, then say, I don't know, or say, ask, for example, Sheikh, and give name. Or you can say, I will ask for you and I will come back to you. Or if you don't have a contact that might know, then say, sorry, I don't know. You have to ask a scholar about this, ask an imam or a scholar about this. This is very, very important. Even the very well-known scholars and ulama, they used to say, I don't know. Imam Malik, rahimahullah, he was asked a lot of questions in one occasion, and most of these questions he said, I don't know. And he was like the most knowledgeable person on earth in his time. But he wanted to be safe than sorry, because if someone got an answer from your tongue and it was wrong, and this person started practicing something wrong because of you, it will be a sin for you every time this person practicing this in a wrong way. Do you want to take the responsibility of this? It's not smart, because your own sins are enough. Why do you want to carry the sins of other people? So this is very important. No additional knowledge you need to make da'wah other than what we just described. To know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to know about akhirah, basic knowledge, and then to speak only based on what you know, and don't try to answer questions when you don't know. So this is regarding the qualification. But of course, when you know more, you can do more da'wah. When you know more about Allah, you can speak more about Allah. When you know more about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you can speak more about him. And this is why we are studying the aqidah, we are studying the fiqh, we are studying the seerah, we are studying hadith, all of these things to get more knowledge, so that this can be like a support for you to do da'wah in a better way. Then some guidelines when you are in the journey of da'wah. There are 30 guidelines for the journey of da'wah. First, to define the target. To define the target. What is your target when you make da'wah? What is your target when you attend this lecture or this course? What is the target? Why are you here? And the target should be to get myself to be better with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to get the society to become better with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is called al-islah. Al-islah is to get things better, is to get people better, yourself and others. So this should be your target. Your target should never be that you have more knowledge than others, then you are a lecturer and people will listen to you and respect you and attend your lectures and these things. This should never be your target. For example, I'll give you an example that is right now. How many people do we have in the course? Let's count them. In the group, we have 38 people. How many people are attending now? 1, 2, 3, 4. I could have simply said, okay, it's only 4 people, so we don't take the course, and I will have to send a message that if I don't find like 30 people attending, I will not give the course. I will not give the lecture. Of course, maybe I should do something like this to get people more serious. But if I'm doing this for myself to see a lot of people attending, then I will get very upset. How dare you not attend my lecture? I'm dedicating my time to it, and you are just taking it very, like a trash thing. No, because our teachers told us you should care for your niyyah, for your intention, and for what you are teaching, and don't care about the quantity. Because if it is 1 person or 2 people who will listen to what you are saying and will get benefit of it, it might be better than 100 people who will be attending and they will not get any benefit of it. So you have to put your target is for your iman to increase and for the society to get better. And part of this target is to have ikhlas. Ikhlas is to do this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not doing this for people to thank me or for people to like me or for people to say about me that this is sheikh or this is alim, and for me to come to a stadium or an auditorium to see 200 people or 400 people. This is not important because I know that once I give the lecture, once I do the da'wah, once I talk to people, whether they will listen or not, I will get the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is what I care. So who is paying for my time now is Allah. Allah is paying for my time. Is not you, not anyone else. And when you do da'wah, when you talk to people in the street, in the university, when you talk to your friend, whether this person will listen or not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is paying for your time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is paying for your effort. And when people respond to you in a bad way, you will get more reward. Whether they accept or not, this shouldn't make you disappointed. So to define the target and to be sincere, this is the first two guidelines in da'wah. To define the target and to be sincere. The third, you need to have patience like mujahideen. Who is the mujahid? The mujahid is the one who fights the enemies of Allah. Fighting, meaning that he can get killed, sacrificing his own life. This needs, a lot of energy, a lot of courage, and a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of effort. You need to work hard on your heart to have this attitude that my deen is my first priority, and I can sacrifice anything for my deen, but I cannot sacrifice my deen for anything else. I can sacrifice my soul, my money, everything for my deen, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this should be your main attitude. We are not, in Norway, we are not fighting. We are not having war with the kuffar here. Norway is a peaceful country, but the actual attitude that your deen is your first priority, you can sacrifice anything for your deen, and you cannot sacrifice your deen for anything else. And my deen really deserves this. And this is one of the qualities of al-mujahideen. So everything other than my deen is very little. This is guideline number 3. Guideline number 4. You should always have the attitude to learn. The attitude to learn more and more. When you know something, you should develop it. You should always ask more questions. You should always try to learn more and more. Never have the attitude to be like the teacher that people are always listening to. When you know that someone who knows better than you is coming, for example, inshallah, one time when you take many courses, you might be sitting in masjids and lecturing people. When you know that someone is coming to the masjid, for example, is inviting some person from Al-Azhar or from Islamic University in somewhere, and this person is knowledgeable, you have to come to listen and sit down and listen and learn and maybe have some notebook to write notes. So always to learn more and more. I really like when I see some Muslim young men and young women, they are studying actually something at the university, physics or chemistry or computer science or social sciences, and they are trying to get a place at the Islamic University. or some online university in Malaysia or Indonesia, and they are studying science and studying Islam. It requires extra time to do this, but they are willing to study because they want to know. They want to get more knowledge, because the knowledge is like light. When you are ignorant, it's like you are blind. Pay attention to this. When you are ignorant about Islam, you are blind. Whenever you want to know something, you have to ask the Imam. You have to ask the Sheikh. It is like, you are blind and someone has to take your hand. Please take my hand. I cannot see anything. So you will be always ignorant or having lack of knowledge about some things. But a blind person is a person who is ignorant about most of the things about his deen. So a Muslim should not be like this. So you should always have the attitude to be keen, to be eager to learn your deen more and more in order to do da'wah ilallah. So this is the fourth guideline. Guideline number 5. So we will take only 5 guidelines today. Don't be a perfectionist. Don't be a perfectionist. That you feel that I'm sinner, I'm doing a lot of sins, and people are doing a lot of sins. And life is very bad. People are not applying Islam, and the society is bad, and there is no hope. So we just forget about this. No one is perfect. So you should never think that you have to be a perfect person to do da'wah. Everyone is a sinner. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, كل بني آدم خطاء وخير الخطائين التوابون. All the children of Adam are sinners. All the children of Adam are sinners. And the best among those sinners are the ones who make tawbah. So no one is not committing sins. So it's very wrong to say, who am I to speak to people about Allah? I am doing sins. I am not perfect. I'm a bad person. When you talk to people about Allah and you are doing the sins, it doesn't make you hypocrite. It doesn't make you munafiq. But you are a sinner. Yes, everyone else is a sinner. If those who will talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the perfect people, then no one will do that. So is it okay to talk to people about Allah and to invite people to the deen and I'm doing sins myself? Yes, it's okay. As long as you are not insisting in doing the sins, as long as when you do the sin, you feel bad about it and you ask Allah for forgiveness and you try not to do it again. But you are not, for example, doing da'wah now, and this evening you are planning to go to the disco, for example, or to make dating. Then you are munafiq, because you are talking to Allah and you are already planning to do something haram. But if it happens incidentally, that the shaitan, use your weakness, and all of us have some weakness in our iman, to do something haram, and you say astaghfirullah al-azim and you make tawbah, this does not disqualify you. So don't be a perfectionist for yourself and don't be a perfectionist with people. So people will never be perfect. When I was talking about, just to avoid any misunderstanding, when I was talking about the example of a sister wearing hijab, that she has to advise a sister who is not wearing hijab, It doesn't mean that we have to boycott those who are not wearing hijab. No, because they are still Muslims, and maybe in total, they have some very good deeds. This sister who is not wearing hijab, she might have very good deeds that make her in total, in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, better than you. Because not wearing hijab is a sin, yes. But it's one sin. Maybe she's doing very good things, very good other things that you are not aware of, that if you compare her total sins and total of good deeds, the good deeds will be much better. And you are wearing hijab, and maybe you are doing a lot of other sins which make you in total less than her. But as long as you can see something wrong, you have to keep advising. So what I want to say is that you cannot boycott people based on their sin. You have to have hope always that people, they have, as long as they are Muslims, they have something good in their hearts. And some of the non-Muslims also, they have something good in their hearts. You have to have the hope. As long as the person is still alive, there is a hope that this person accepts Islam. And if this person is Muslim and doing haram things, there is always a hope that this person makes tawbah. So don't deal with people based on perfectionism, because this will harm you and will let you be disappointed and frustrated with the society. And those who do this, even if they are good religious people, normally they retreat and they become non-religious. And some of them, they leave Islam. Because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, وَلَنْ يُشَادَّ الدِّينَ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا غَلَبَهُ. Don't be too tough. Don't pull too hard or push too hard in the deen, because then it will become the opposite. It will become the opposite. And there are many examples like this. People who were very, very religious, and they were looking at the others like, you are so bad. This society is very bad. You guys are going to Jahannam. And then you will find that person himself turned 180 degrees because he approached Islam in a very wrong way. So these are 5 guidelines. First, to define the target, to be sincere, and to care only for Allah. Allah is paying for your time, not other people. To have the qualities of mujahideen, to be able to sacrifice everything for your deen, and nothing you can sacrifice deen for. 4, to always seek knowledge, to learn more. 5, don't be a perfectionist with yourself and with people. Yeah, we stop here, inshallah. Any questions? One written question. About the question is about some sisters who are giving da'wah on YouTube, and people are seeing them, including men. And the justification is that they are wearing hijab. This is not a good thing. Why? I'll tell why. When you are wearing hijab, what does it mean? Why you are wearing hijab? Why are you wearing hijab? You are wearing hijab to, not for men to attract, to look at you. This is the purpose. Why aren't you leaving your hair and like wearing like this, like some girls who are showing part of their shoulders and chest? Because those are attracting men to look at them. In purpose or not in purpose, but this is the fact. Because the sexual desire in men towards women, it is something natural, and it is much, much stronger than sexual desires from women to men. So all of these are like, this is biology. So when you wear hijab, you are covering yourself, showing only your face and your hands so that men, they don't look at you. Now, when you make a YouTube video, you are telling men, look at me. Even if you are wearing hijab, you are telling them, I'm here, I'm speaking, look at me. And this destroys the purpose. So if it is about your job, like for example, you are working in public administration on a public place, or you are a teacher at the university or something, okay, it's your job, but something that you have to make a YouTube video, if you want to teach people something, you don't need to make it a video thing. It doesn't need to be a video. It can be just sound recording. So this is not something good. And this is not something that a Muslim woman should do.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
I just have a question
Yes.
about, I thought it was easier to just say it instead of writing, but
Mhm.
I have a colleague, she's not Muslim, and but she seems like she is searching for the truth, and she seems like a sincere person. And she asks me a lot about Islam, and but she has a lot of why questions. Why do you do this? Why do Muslims do that? Because we have a lot of commandments like praying, fasting, many things we have to do. And when I say that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe the Quran is from Allah, and we believe we have to follow this. It's easy for Muslims to just accept and obey Allah. But how can I explain to her when she asks me why? Why do you do this? It's difficult to answer, I think, but yeah.
Do you have examples of these questions?
Yeah, for example, why do you wear hijab? So I tell her it is in the Quran, it's a commandment from Allah, but we try to rationalize if we think in our lives, it's logical to wear it because of the society and how women are objectified and all of this. But sometimes she accepts the answer. Sometimes it's she asks more like why. So it's difficult to answer.
This is normal, but the most important thing that you should focus on with her is to be convinced that there is a creator, and the creator is Allah, and Muhammad is a messenger of Allah, and the Quran is from Allah. And the proofs for this, the proofs that Quran is from Allah, that Muhammad, who claimed to be a messenger, is really a messenger, and there is a creator who is Allah. The questions about why, this is normal things. Even Muslims, they ask these whys, but of course, a person who is not a Muslim will have more of these questions. When the person is more convinced, completely convinced, has the yaqeen that Allah is his Lord, and this book is from Allah, and Muhammad is really a messenger of Allah, and all of these things are coming from Allah, this person will still will ask less of these questions. For example, I know new Muslims, whenever they know something that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did, they just do it. They never ask a question. It's enough for them just to know that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did this, or Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam liked this. Even in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he liked this type of food. In Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he liked this food to be cooked in this way, which are things are not, not religious related things, but they have very strong respect to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so they just want to do as him. They want to dress like him. They want to speak like him. They want to pray like him. They want to eat like him. They want to sit like him. because they have they digested in their souls that this person is a messenger of Allah and he did a lot for the deen. About these questions, most of the questions, or 99% of the questions in Islam, they have logical answers. That the answers that for every type of person to be convinced with. These answers, some of them are in the books, some of them you can get from knowledgeable people. Not every answer from every alim can be convincing for everyone. Someone can ask one person who is knowledgeable and can give an answer, explanation, and might not be convincing, and might ask someone else who may be less knowledgeable, but he can explain it from a different direction or a different angle, and it can be convincing. So the conclusion is that every question, almost every question in Islam has a very logical answer. Or actually, every question in Islam has a very logical answer, but it is just to know where to get this answer and to find it. But of course, the attitude of asking about every single thing, why? This should not be continuous thing to the end. And once the person is more convinced about these facts, Allah is my Lord, He created us, Muhammad is His messenger, Quran is from Allah, these three things, once they are more stable as facts, then these questions will go less. But it's, of course, useful to get logical answers when the questions are asked.
Jazakallah khair for your answer.
وإياك. How to protect ourselves from kufr and attain yaqeen. So there are many things. First, the type of people that you are with, the environment. If your friends and most of the people that you know and you spend most of your time with are kuffar or not religious people, or people who you feel that they are less connected to Allah than you, this will take you more to the direction of kufr and haram and to direction of Jahannam. But if most of the people that you know and you spend your time with are the ones that you feel or you think, why I'm saying you feel or you think, because it's only Allah who knows the hearts. The people that you feel or you think that they are closer to Allah than you, then this takes you more to the direction of Iman and Yaqeen. So this is one of many other things, but I would claim that this is the most important. See your environment. Because the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalili, falyanzur ahadukum man yukhalil." You will be on the deen of your friends. So be careful selecting your friends, especially in the environment that we have here, because Muslims are minority. This is a fact. So you might end up knowing a lot of non-Muslims. I have a lot of non-Muslim colleagues. Everyone in this office area that I'm now in my office, every single person here is non-Muslim. I'm the only Muslim here, and there are about, how many? 50 people in this floor. All of them are not Muslims. I'm the only Muslim. But this is what can I do about that? But they are just my colleagues. They can be sort of friends, but they are not the best friends. My best friends are always Muslims. I'm from Egypt, for example. But in Norway, most of the Egyptians are not religious. So you will find my best friends are Somalis. So the Somalis in Norway, the majority of my good friends are Somalis. Why? Because in general, the Somalis are the most religious society in Norway, in general, of course. So this is why I take them as my friends. I hope that others who are not Somalis, they don't feel about this, but I'm just mentioning this as example because I have many others from Pakistan, from Turkey, from many, but just talking about statistics. So why I'm having them as my friends while my own nationality, Egyptians, are not that many friends, because I feel that when I am with those people, I'm more close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I like to be close to those people, even if they are not my nationality. So this should be the main attitude.
Can you take one more question, inshallah?
Yes.
It was regarding the comments about hijab or non-hijabi friends and colleagues and things.
Mhm.
What I think is that Muslims, we know what is halal and what is haram, and most of the people who don't wear hijab, they also know they are doing something haram. So what is the best way to I'm just thinking in my own life, how can I talk to people and give nasiha in a good way about this?
This is the detail of the actual method, and we will come to that. There is the method of talking, the method of gifts, the indirect messages. So these are what they call communication skills. Communication skills to give the message in a nice way. And this is not only for Islamic da'wah. These communication skills is something that people are teaching for different types. Like when you are doing marketing, for example, when you are doing marketing, there are marketing skills. So the marketing agents, they come to you and they have taken some courses on how to convince you to buy this product. So all of these are communication skills and marketing skills. But the important thing is to not to have this, okay, they already know. So maybe it's better not to talk. No, they already know, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَى تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. You have to remind. They know, but the shaitan let them forget. So you have to remind. Now, how to remind in a way that doesn't make them feel annoyed? This is a technical question, and it depends on the occasion. It depends on the person, because there are different types of personalities. There are people who are introvert, there are people who are extrovert, and to approach this type of people is different from that type. There are people that who likes that you, when you want to say something, you have to say direct to them. There are others who don't like this, so you have to bring it in an indirect way, but you have to communicate it some way. And it doesn't mean that you will always get it right. Sometimes you feel, uh-oh, what did I do? I tried to give the message, and it ended up in a miserable way, and now she doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Don't be disappointed with this, because your purpose was good, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fix your mistakes for you, as long as you try to do it in the right way. Even if you missed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will get things fixed for you, and you can try again. But what is very important is to keep trying, and then we will come to the details on what type of person, what type of people you should use, what type of method. Inshallah. Any other questions? We make dua إن شاء الله. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل على محمد وآله في الأولين وفي الآخرين وفي الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا. ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا، وانصرنا على من عادانا، ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا، ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا، ولا مبلغ علمنا، ولا منتهى أملنا، ولا تسلط علينا من لا يرحمنا. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين، وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين، واكشف الهم والغم والكرب عنا وعن المسلمين. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك، وأغننا بفضلك عمن سواك، ولا تحوجنا ولا تذلنا إلا إليك. اللهم يا رب كن جار إخواننا المجاهدين والمستضعفين في فلسطين. اللهم يا رب اجعل لهم من كل ضيق مخرجا، ومن كل هم فرجا، وارزقهم من حيث لا يحتسبون. اللهم أطعمهم من جوع، واكسهم من برد، وآمنهم من خوف. اللهم آجرهم في مصيبتهم، وأخلف لهم خيرا منها. اللهم تقبل موتاهم عندك في الشهداء والصالحين. اللهم كن جار إخواننا المجاهدين، وأفرغ عليهم صبرا، وثبت أقدامهم، وانصرهم على القوم الكافرين. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم، وامكر لهم ولا تمكر بهم، وأنت خير الماكرين. اللهم عليك باليهود ومن والاهم. اللهم فرق جموعهم وشتت شملهم، واجعل بأسهم بينهم نارا تأكل أخضرهم ويابسهم، ورد كيدهم في نحورهم. اللهم طهر المسجد الأقصى والأرض المقدسة من دنسهم، وأخرجهم منها أذلة صاغرين. اللهم يا رب لا تجعل لهم على إخواننا المستضعفين سبيلا. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا، وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. وصل اللهم على محمد وآله وصحابته وتابعيه بخير وإحسان إلى يوم الدين. آمين.